We know you're getting a little sick of truck history, so this will be our last truck history video for a while. In the meantime, we'd like to talk to you about one of the oldest and definitely one of the best known truck brands in the world. Today on episode 4 of Truck History, we're talking all about our favorite bulldogs, Mack Trucks. Mack Trucks was founded 119 years ago in 1900. That's correct. Mack has been making trucks for well over 100 years, so we have a lot of info to get into. Let's get started. The year is 1890, and John M. Mack begins working for Follison and Berry Carriage Company. Only 3 years later, in 1893, John and his brother Augustus Mack buy the Follison and Berry Carriage Company. A third Mack brother joins the company the next year, 1894, and the trio begins experimenting with steam and electric-powered cars. Keep in mind, during this time, Mack was actually called the Mack Brothers Company. Fast forward 6 years later, 1900, and the company produces its first vehicle, a 40-horsepower, 20-passenger bus, for a sightseeing company. Mack starts producing heavier-duty trucks and branding them Manhattan Trucks in 1904. The next year, in 1905, Mack settled on Allentown, Pennsylvania, for its main manufacturing facility, and a fourth Mack brother, Joseph, joins the Mack Brothers Company. Around this time, they developed what they call the Junior model. The larger Mack Senior model was a right-hand steer, chain-driven model, and the smaller Junior was a left-hand steer, but it was also driven by a chain. In 1910, the Manhattan Trucks we spoke about earlier are officially redesignated Mack Trucks, and a fifth Mack brother joins the company. That same year, Mack develops and produces its first hook and ladder fire truck. In August of 1911, John and Joseph Mack sell Mack Brothers Company to International Motor Company, who also owns Sauer Motor Company and later Hewitt Motor Company. During this time period, Mack Trucks were marketed alongside Hewitt and Sauer trucks. In 1914, the Hewitt division of the International Motor Company is shut down. Also in 1914, Mack produces the Mack AB, which becomes its first standardized high-volume unit. The first ABs were chain or worm-driven, but later in 1920, a dual reduction drive would replace the worm drive. The AB would continue production through 1937, and Mack would make over 55,000 of them. The famous Mack AC model was introduced in 1916. Once again, a rear-drive, chain-driven vehicle, the AC was renowned for its durability and reliability, and on many occasions was used for military tasks.
When the world went to war, the Mack AC distinguished itself with incredible toughness and durability. More than 5,000 ACs served British and American troops during World War I. When other trucks got stuck, it was the AC that pulled them out. The British Tommies called them bulldogs.
There was something about the tenacity of this truck and the look of the truck, its actual physical characteristics, that reminded them of a bulldog.
And the name stuck.
The AC model was manufactured through 1939, and over 40,000 were built. Getting back to 1916, the International Motor Company renames itself to the International Motor Truck Company. By 1918, sales of the Sauer brand had dropped, and the name was removed from the International Motor Truck Company holdings. 1918 model year Mack Trucks also featured the first air cleaners and oil filters on any truck, and 1920 model year Mack Trucks featured the first power brakes. These new power brakes were operated by a vacuum booster system, cutting edge at the time. Another advancement in truck design happened in 1921 when Mack used rubber isolators as cushions in chassis components to improve shock resistance. Also around this time, Mack Trucks played a huge role in the transcontinental convoy conducted by the U.S. Army, which underscored the need for a national highway system. In 1922, International Motor Truck Company officially changes its name again to Mack Trucks Incorporated and adopts the bulldog as its corporate symbol. The change in name happens because Mack wanted to differentiate itself from its biggest competitor, International Harvester Company. In 1927, Mack Trucks, Inc. developed the B-Series. These early B-Series trucks were a response to the demand for larger, high-speed transportation. Mack produced over 15,000 B-Series trucks until the model was discontinued in 1941. In 1929, Mack Truck began building trailers. Yes, you heard that correct. Mack made over 2,600 trailers in multiple different styles. In 1932, chief engineer of Mack, Alfred Massery, was admitted to the hospital for an operation, and during his recovery, he carved the distinctive Mack Bulldog hood ornament. The design he carves has adorned Mack trucks since. 1936 brought the new E-Series trucks, which were medium-duty trucks available in conventional and cab-over configurations and were the most versatile truck Mack ever produced. Over 78,000 units were sold. Mack was a leader in applying four-wheel brakes to heavy-duty trucks to improve safety with heavy loads. Mack also led the trucking industry in 1938 when it produced its own engine. When World War II broke out in Europe, Mack was a major manufacturer of personnel carriers, wreckers, tank transporters, and other specialized vehicles. On to the 50s. The most popular model during the 50s was the B-Series. Distinctly different from the B-Series of the 20s, this B-Series sold 10 times as many units, over 127,000 in total. The rounded appearance of the B-Series, along with its wide variety of models, made it a top pick for drivers of the day. The B-Series also offered the now famous Thermodyne open-chamber direct injection diesel engine. Direct injection diesel motors were more efficient and powerful, which leapfrogged Mack Trucks to the head of the pack when it came to power. In 1956, Mack manufactures the first diesel-powered fire truck, a Mack V85F model. It was sold to the city of Hamilton, Bermuda, 4 years later in 1960. The F model, all-steel sleeper and non-sleeper cab-over models were introduced in 1962. This introduction was the first model of the completely new cab-over engine and conventional models to be introduced in the 60s. Following models included R, U, and DM. When we get to 1966, Mack starts producing the R model. The R model was the successor to the B-Series, so it had big shoes to fill, and it did. The next year, 1967, Mack Trucks Incorporated was purchased by Signal Oil and Gas, a Los Angeles-based petroleum company. In August 1967, Mack Trucks became an official Signal company. Also in 1967, Mack introduced the Maxidine constant horsepower engine, which provided peak horsepower over a wider power band. This feature increased fuel efficiency and significantly reduced the need to shift. The motor was such a leap forward, a transmission with 5 speeds, rather than 10 or more, could be used for most over-the-road applications. Clearly, 1967 was a big year, but it's not over yet. Mack also introduced the Maxitorque transmission and set the bar for all heavy-duty trucks to come. The Maxitorque was the first triple countershaft compact-length transmission of its time. It featured the highest torque capacity in the industry. The Maxitorque 5-speed was only 2/3 the length of a multi-speed transmission. 2 years later, 1969, Mack pioneered in the industry again and introduced cab air suspension. Another big innovation in 1969 was the introduction of Mack's Dynatard engine brake. Those of you who are into Mack trucks will undoubtedly know of the Cruise Liner. The Cruise Liner was Mack's top-of-the-line owner-operator model in the cab-over configuration. The Cruise Liner was produced from 1975 until 1983, and in 1977, Mack introduced the Superliner. The Superliner was their premium conventional style truck. The Superliner featured plenty of horsepower, but, more importantly, luxury and convenience for the heavy-haul driver. The Superliner was produced for 15 years and was retired in 1993. Mack introduced arguably its most popular and versatile truck in 1978 with the MC and MR low cab forward trucks. The Mack MC and MR models are popular for their applications in the fire, EMS, and flatbed transportation industries. 4 years later, in 1982, Mack introduces the Ultraliner model. The Ultraliner featured the industry's first successful all-fiberglass metal cage reinforced cab. The new design resulted in an industry-leading advancement in cab weight and corrosion resistance. 1983 saw Mack Trucks, Inc. going public again. In its initial public offering, the company offered up 15.7 million shares. At the same time, RENAULT, who had been slowly investing more and more into Mack, bought a total of 40% of the company, and the Signal companies, who were the previous owners of Mack, were reduced to only owning 10.3%. In 1988, Mack Trucks introduced the E7 series of 12-liter engines. Today, the E7 line includes 16 different engines with horsepower ratings ranging from 250 to 454. That same year, Mack introduces the CH model, one of its most popular highway units. Renault becomes the sole owner of Mack Trucks in 1990. One of the most popular Mack models is introduced 4 years later in 1994. The Mack LE model is widely known for its use in the refuse and recycling industries. Mack enters a new era in 1999 with the Vision model. The new Vision is Mack's premium highway truck and does very well in the liquid transport and heavy haul industries. At the turn of the century, the US government approved Mack to be acquired by AB Volvo of Sweden. Only a year later, Mack introduces the Granite and Freedom models. The Granite series is a widely used lightweight vocational truck known for its reliability and durability. The Freedom series is a medium-duty truck and is built to be extremely versatile. Mack Freedom trucks are often used for retail, wholesale delivery, general freight, and construction. Let's skip a couple decades to 2017 when Mack releases its newest model, the Anthem. The Mack Anthem is a response to the aerodynamic competitors Mack faces from Freightliner in the Cascadia, from Kenworth with the T680 and W990, and from Peterbilt in the form of the 579. That brings you up to date with Mack history. Thank you so much for watching episode 4 of Truck History here at Jack's Chrome Show. We release videos on Mondays and Fridays, so make sure you check back soon. Before you leave though, make sure you like the video and subscribe so that you'll be notified when we post. This show is made possible by our online Chrome shop, Jack's Chrome. JacksChromeShop.com is a great place to pick up chrome, lights, detail products, stacks, fenders, and much more. And if you use promo code YouTube, you save 15% on your order. Take the time, drop by JacksChromeShop.com, use the promo code to get your 15% off, and help support our show by purchasing a Jack's Chrome shirt. That's it for today, folks. Meet us back here on this channel Monday for our podcast highlights. Check out the live podcast on Chrome and Steel Radio at noon on Wednesdays. And remember, if your rig don't shine, you don't know Jack.